good news in history. September 20. Happy 36th birthday to the pious, dedicated family man Khabib Nurmagomedov, who also happens to be a UFC Hall of Famer and is considered one of the finest mixed martial artists ever to compete. The only UFC champion ever to retire with the belt and with an undefeated record 29-0, Nurmagomedov's 13 UFC bouts saw him lose only a single round, much less a single fight. This string of dominance included 4 title fights, the longest reign of dominance in the UFC's lightweight division. Read more 1988 Khabib Nurmagomedov in Pantuzen ICC 4.0. Eretz, hailing from the Caucasus region of Russia known as Dagestan, Khabib is a pious Muslim and became the first UFC champion to hold the faith. As is common with many children in Dagestan, he began wrestling from an early age. He started at the age of 8 under the tutelage of his father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, a decorated athlete and a veteran of the Soviet Army. Abdulmanap had also wrestled as a child before undergoing training in judo and sambo in the military.
Abdulmanap dedicated his life to coaching the youth in Dagestan in hopes of offering an alternative to the Islamic extremism common to the region.
At age 9, Khabib trained with a juvenile bear as a sparring partner. This wrestling base was to be Khabib's weapon of choice in the octagon, a weapon which no opponent ever found a counter to. Abdulmanap remained Khabib's trainer and cornerman for his whole career until he passed away after contracting COVID-19 in 2020. Khabib won the following title match against Justin East at UFC 284 and retired after another devastating victory. More good news on this day. Led Zeppelin, going by the name The Yardbirds, started recording their debut album in London and took only 36 hours of studio time, with most of the tracks being recorded live in the studio with very few overdubs. 1968 Billie Jean King beat 55-year-old Bobby Riggs in straight sets in a battle of the sexes tennis match watched by a worldwide television audience of 50 million people in 7 countries. 1916 the first wave of Southeast Asian boat people arrived in San Francisco under a U.S. resettlement program. 1916 the multinational UN peacekeeping force landed in East Timor to restore order and help establish a new peaceful government. A society was successfully rebuilt. 1930 when Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the Pentagon's law against openly gay service members officially ended. 2011 6 years ago, the Salisbury Cathedral was consecrated in England. Considered the oldest example of early Gothic architecture in England, the Old Beauty maintains the largest cloister, the tallest spire, and the largest external park, or cathedral close, of any cathedral in Britain. Inside are also one of the oldest continual working clocks, and one of the 4 surviving copies of the Magna Carta. Salisbury Cathedral CC 4.0. Anthony McCallum construction was paid for by donations, principally from the canons and vicars of South East England, who were asked to contribute a fixed annual sum until the building was completed. A legend tells that the Bishop of Old Sarum shot an arrow in the direction he would build the cathedral. The arrow hit a deer, which died in the place where Salisbury Cathedral is now. It was reputed to sit on a ley line that also connected it with nearby Stonehenge and the previous Shire Cathedral at Old Sarum. Several old Gothic cathedrals in England have suffered the destruction of their spires, since they were built so high at a time when buttressing had not been thought of. As such, the spire at Salisbury became the largest in England almost 300 years after it was built, since the spire of Old St. Paul's in London collapsed. This fact was discovered by architect Christopher Wren in 1668. An additional beams hidden above a false ceiling saved the Salisbury spire from the same fate. 78 years ago today, the first Cannes Film Festival International du Film was held in the sunny seaside city of Cannes, France. Previewing all genres of film, including documentaries and even student films from around the world. The annual event is now held at the Palais des Festivals, which was expressly constructed for the occasion. More than 1,000 films are marketed here every year for distribution. As well. Notorious The Lost Weekend, directed by Billy Wilder, which portrayed alcohol addiction, won a grand prize, and its star Ray Milland won Best Actor. Other American films nominated were Gaslight, pictured above by George Cukor, and Notorious by Alfred Hitchcock. 1934 Happy Aunt's birthday. Sophia Loren, the Italian actress who won an Academy Award for her lead in the 1963 film Two Women. With that statue in hand, she became the first actress to win an Oscar for a non-English speaking performance. 1935 or 54 years ago today, the Russian space probe Lunar City landed on the moon, the first time an unmanned probe was used to take photos and bring objects back to Earth from space. Lunar City, photo by BEMS, CC license, also known as Lunar City, part of the Soviets' lunar program. It became the first robotic probe to land on the moon and return a sample of lunar soil
to Earth, but only after trying and failing 4 times, according to This Day in Space.
By that time, NASA astronauts had already collected lunar soil samples on the Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 missions.
Watch the video in 1916, and on this day in 1938, Cal Ripken Jr. ended his Ironman streak, one of the most amazing feats in sports history, after playing in a record 237 consecutive baseball games over 7 seasons for the Baltimore Orioles. In 1938, by Rod Eichmann. CC license, the televised game still ranks as one of the most watched baseball events, with Cal's kids throwing out the first pitch.
In the fifth inning, as it was tallied a full game, the crowds in the stands, the opposing players, and the 4 umpires gave Ripken a standing ovation lasting more than 22 minutes, one of the longest ovations for any athlete.
ESPN never went to